statement. You want to captivate admissions with an intriguing first paragraph. This is, I started my first paragraph of my personal statement with kind of like a descriptive, like story-like anecdote. So you wanna captivate them with your first paragraph. This is something that I got from a med school applications panel, that what they suggested. This is from Dr. Daniel R. Alonso. He's the Dean of Admissions for Cornell Med School. This is what he said about the personal statement. We look for some originality because 9 out of 10 essays leave you with a big yawn. I like science. I like to help people. And that's why I want to become a doctor. Now, obviously this is for med school, but it's sort of applicable for dental school too. So he says, the common, uninteresting, and unoriginal statement is one that recounts the applicant's academic pursuits and basically repeats what is elsewhere in the application. So the personal statement is a section where you want to talk about something that can't really be found on your other application. Like, they know what grades you've got. They know that you went to IUTA, but like, you want to if you said you went to IUTA, they want to know like what you did, or like some really descriptive story, like something that'll make you stand out, because you don't want them to just be reading what is already on the other sections of your application, because they want to know more about you as a person. So some tips from him: tell the reader something that would not appear in a standard job resume. He says, explain why you love what you love. Strive for depth rather than breadth. So like, focus on one important event or something. Make it really come to life. Narrow your focus to a few key ideas. All right. So the next section that we have is the evaluator section. This is where you're going to be looking for your letter of recommendation. And later, Payal will be talking to you about how to ask for letter recommendations, or how to, put together a letter recommendation packet for your interview. All right, so AdStats accepts 4 letter recommendations in their website. Unless you do, I think, a committee letter, then you can put more in it. So I like to think of the standard letter recommendation packet that you want to put together. You want to have 2 science professors, 1 non-science and 1 dentist. 1 dentist that you have shadowed. Okay, a note: some schools require very specific letter of recommendation requirements. So before you guys apply, figure out what they need. So like I suggested to some people who came to talk to me, I would, before you apply, make a list of schools that you want to apply to, like, 30 schools, and then, or trim it down to like 15. Figure out what they require. Some schools have very different requirements. Like, after I applied, I found out Tufts had, they wanted, it was like 1 letter recommendation from a biology professor, and then 1 from like physics, math, or chemistry. It was really specific, and I didn't have those letter recommendations because I'm a Kines major, so I got my letter recs from Kines professors, which are, science professors, but Tufts wanted really specific ones, so I didn't have those. So I would recommend, before you apply, figure out what they want, because different schools have different requirements.
I have a question.
Yes.
If there's different requirements, then like, how do you send them as to someone else you would submit for, and you wanted to change it for like different schools?
Yeah, good question. I know some schools allow you to send it in separately. Like, I know USC allows you to directly mail it to admissions. Does anyone know the answer? Yeah, exactly. So like,
some schools don't accept it, but us don't accept it. It's not coming through AdStats.
yeah. So yeah, like I said, figure out, know what schools you want to apply to. Figure out what they require. The different schools have different requirements. Like USC upstairs, their admissions office, they're very open to having you send like extra letter recommendations, and not through AdStats. You can just mail it into them. Like you said, like Tufts, they're very stringent. You can't send anything that's not through AdStats for some reason. So yeah, so that's what I would suggest, because just kind of know what each school is looking for that you're interested in applying to.
If you do like a letter of rec service from USC, we'll talk about later, like you can send an extra letter to them and like add them to them. So like instead of only 4 letters, you can send 5. that might be able to help.
Yeah, that might be able to help you. And Pyle's going to go extensively into letter of recommendations letter because that's kind of a big process, and it's one of the most confused. Like, I had no idea what I was supposed to do come time. Like, it was April, and I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do for letter of rec? So it's definitely want to pay attention to that. The last section is you're going to pick which dental schools you want to apply to. I don't want to scare you, but this is a fee table for applying to dental schools. So you start with your base. The first school you apply to is $235. Each subsequent school is it's like $75. So you have to figure out how many schools you want to apply to. Like, you can apply to 56 if you want to pay that much money. But I narrowed my schools. I think I applied to like 12 schools. How many did you guys apply to for those who have applied? 15. Yeah, that's pretty standard. So kind of narrow your list of schools down. That's what I would suggest. All right, so submitting your application. I would advise all of you guys to submit your application on June 4th, 2012. That's when ADSAS opens. Write your personal statement ahead of time. So on June 4th, what you want to do, you're going to open ADSAS. You're going to copy your personal statement. You're going to paste it into ADSAS, and then you're going to submit it. I thought you had something to say. Okay. So on ADSAS, you can send in your ADSAS application. You can press submit on June 4th, 2012 without your GATE score, your letter of recommendation. You can do that. But you do want to have those in as soon as possible because dental schools won't review your application until you submit your DATs and your letter of recommendation. And then on June 4th, 2012, when you guys are going to apply and submit your ADSAS, you're going to go to, remember that page I showed you where you list all the schools you attended as an undergrad? You're going to print out your transcript matching form, and then on that day, you're going to go request your transcripts from the schools that you have attended. So you're going to print out your transcript matching form. You're going to bring it to the USC, the area where they send out transcripts. You're going to go there, give them transcript matching form, tell them that you want them to send your transcripts to ADSAS. This is going to happen on June 4th, 2012 if you want to apply early. And you want to request your transcripts as soon as possible. This is from personal experience. I didn't realize how long it took transcripts to get in. So, I applied in June, and then I was like, oh, la-di-da-di-da, I'm going to submit my transcript 2 weeks later. ADSAS won't calculate, they won't send your application out to dental schools until your transcripts are in and they calculate your GPA. So what happened to me was I didn't send my transcripts in right away. I sent it in about a week and a half after I applied. Don't do this, by the way. So one of the schools I attended was Cal State LA. I don't know if any of you attended Cal State LA for summer school. Anyhow, they took a month to send my transcript to ADSAS. And so by the time the ADSAS actually could calculate my GPA and send it to dental schools, it was like sometime late in July. And so my transcripts got delayed really badly because of that question.
Can you not send them in before?
You need to have a transcript matching form in order to send it into ADSAS. So the first day that you can actually send your transcript in is June 4th, 2012, because you need the transcript matching form, or else they can't put your transcript with your application. So that's something you have to do ASAP. Because ADSAS only opens on June 4th, 2012.
Oh, so you get the matching thing on the site, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So once you put in the schools, then you can print out the transcript matching form.
For USC, if you're out of state in June, there's still
USC is great because they're online. If you go to the Cal States, you have to mail it in and hope that they get your check with your application or with your letter requesting a transcript, and it's really complicated. So according to ADSAS, this process takes about 4 to 6 weeks from the time they receive your transcript to when they calculate your GPA. So they won't send your application to dental schools until your GPA is calculated, and dental schools won't review your application until everything's there, or at least until ADSAS sends it with your GPA. ADSAS does this thing where they send your application in batches. So I think this past application cycle, they sent their first batch on June 27th. So, you know, you submit your application on June 4th, and then it takes a few weeks to, you know, process it. Everyone sends a transcript in. They need a few weeks to calculate out everyone's GPA, and then once they have that, they send their first batch out. So it's kind of nice if you can make the first batch, because then, you know, dental schools have gotten they got your applications in the first batch. You're getting reviewed before everyone else. Alright, so kind of the timeline, what I would suggest about right now, start going to your professor's office hours. You know, people who are applying, think about who you want to write your letter of recommendations. Go to their office hours, get to know them, so you can have a better letter recommendation from them. Around March, I think this is what I did. Around spring break, I asked my professors for letter recommendations, and Payal's gonna go over how to do that. You know, put together a really nice letter recommendation packet and ask them for the letter recommendation. Give them some time to submit it. So what I did was around May, I started creating a rough draft of my personal statement. I think like as soon as we got out of SC and finished with finals, I started working on my personal statement. Create a rough draft. I'm gonna put this PowerPoint presentation up on the website, and if I forget about it, please email me or Joanne to remind me. But definitely go over this PowerPoint, look at what sections are in the professional experience section, right? So I would kind of jot down, you know, what I'm gonna put in there, you know, what activities I want to be in that section. And then make sure your professors have submitted your letter recommendation. I had one professor who like, I think it was like in June, it was like, hi, Dr. So-and-so, so where's my letter of recommendation? He totally forgot about it. So keep making sure that they're submitting it. You don't want it to be June 4th, 2012, or even like August or September, and realize that you're missing a letter recommendation. All right, so June 4th, 2012, this is a big day. It's a Monday. You're gonna fill out your ADSAS application. You're gonna copy and paste your personal statement into the personal statement section. You're going to submit the payment depending on how many schools you have chosen to apply to. You're going to e-submit the application. So when you're finished with all that, you submit it. And then you're going to print out your transcript request form and go to USC transcript request office. Get them to send a transcript to ADSAS. And that's the end of my section. Does anyone have questions? Sylvia?
So you can't go into ADSAS until June 4th.
You can.
You can. You can. So you can start like filling out.
Yeah, you
stuff.
can.
You can't fill like
Oh, you can't fill it out.
Oh,
Okay.
You can like go into the past. I mean, but they have the questions on the website. You just can't like, fill it out.
Yeah.
And one quick comment, like if you're transferring your personal statement from Word into the website, don't freak out if it doesn't take in like the indents and all these stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just gonna go continuous right up with that. And just like if you think, oh, maybe 50 characters more than 450, it's just gonna cut it off at 450. So have it like a little bit shorter.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to strive for like 4,000 characters, because you don't want to have finished typing up your beautiful personal statement and then realize that it cut off the last like 2 sentences or something. That would be kind of terrible. So I would strive for 4,000 characters just to be on the safe side. Any other questions? Yes.
Do we have to, when we request our letter of rec, do we have to wait? Do we have to tell our professors to wait until after June 4th to submit it, or is there? Can we submit it?
Payal will talk about that, but the short answer is no, you don't have to wait until after June 4th. There's a really awesome, USC has a really good letter of recommendation service that Payal will talk about. Any other questions? Alright, so we're going to be moving on to letter recommendation. Payal will be taking over. If you guys have any questions about, this whole process, definitely come ask us after the meeting. There's also a lot of people here who have applied, so they're really good sources of information too.
Okay. So, Stephanie says the sooner the better. I would actually start, if you already know who you're going to ask, go ahead and ask them like now. Or like I didn't end up asking until like March, like before spring break. Either send them a quick email or like stop into their office hour, like just like mention it that you need a letter of rec, like would you be willing to write it, type of a thing. And then if they agree, like give them a time frame, like offer to come in and like talk to them. Like if they don't know you well, like one of my professors didn't know me at all, like not even my name. So, but I still asked her and she agreed. I just went in like after spring break and like spent like 30 minutes with her like talking and in the email include like if they can write you a strong letter of recommendation. Anyone can write a recommendation letter and most people won't say no, but you don't want a generic letter. So ask if they can write a strong. Okay, so there's two ways to turn in the letter of rec. So if you go to USC, then you can use the service, which is very amazing. This is the website. I'll post it on our website. So you basically fill out who you're gonna ask. You print out this form, and this form is given to the professors that you're gonna ask, and they simply turn it in with their letter. And then they wait. So the service waits until June 4th, and until they have all the letters you told them they're gonna get before they submit everything. There's like a small fee, but it's not that much. And this is not a committee letter, meaning they don't compile everything. Like they don't take different parts of the letters and make one letter. They just like put it in one packet and mail it off. But on the address, when you check if it's a committee letter, if you're sending separate letters, you can just select committee letters. Does that make sense? Okay, so the packet that you should give to your professors that you're going to ask, get a nice folder or a small binder. I included a cover letter and an instruction sheet. Include your CV with different activities. If you have your personal statement done, that would be a great thing to include, but most people don't have it done. I personally just had I started working on a rough draft. And I ended up using a lot of it in there, so they also didn't know why you wanted to do dentistry, and they can include some of that stuff in the letter of rec. If you go to USC, the USC LOR matching form. If you don't, then you're gonna have to wait until you can print out the one from AdSat and submit that one. Oh, and you can do this electronically. Like they have a service where you can email everything, scan it, and email it. Okay, so on the cover letter, or this could be an instruction sheet. Start off by showing your appreciation, thank them, have all your contact information on them, highlight what you want them to include in the letter. Like if you didn't do well in that class, like mention something about that you worked really hard, or that you went to their office hours. For my dentist, I included certain things that I learned in my cover letter so that she could include that. I don't know if she did, but that she could include that in my letter of rec. Give them a very specific date when it's due. I gave mine mid-May. None of my professors submitted it on time. All of them were probably end of June. So that's why the earlier the better, because it speeds up the process a lot. So on the CV, have all your contact information, your major, your degrees, GPA, any job experience, research experience, dental-related experience, clubs, DDS, volunteer experience. I guess this is more for professors that don't know you well, so that they kind of have a chance to get to know you. If the professor knows you enough, they're probably not going to talk about this stuff. They're probably just going to talk about you in their class. But let's talk about this. But in your personal statement, or your little blurb about why you want to do dentistry, include why you think you'll be a good dentist, what you've done to pursue this career, what you envision yourself doing as a dentist, and what you can bring to dentistry. Okay, and then so when you first ask your professors, since they do have the option of electronic submission, ask them if they want to mail it the letter or they send it electronically. And since if it is a USC professor, they can just drop it off. And this is because when you make your packet, you also want to include an envelope with the address and postage stamp. Don't make them buy it. My professors most of them knew about the service, so they were like, don't worry about it, just give me an envelope and they'll drop it off. But like for my dentist, I included like the stamp and the post and the address so she could mail it. Send a reminder like about a month in advance that you gave them a date. So mine was like May 20th is what I think I told them. So I sent them like in April to remind them like, oh, I have my letter of rec that needs to be submitted. And then if they still don't have it submitted, wait a couple days, email them again. Don't badger them if you don't want to annoy them, but you do need this in, so.
How do you know if you sent it?
So on USC's thing, like online, so it takes a couple days before like it shows up on their thing, but it says like it's received. And yeah.
So from the dentist, they send it through the USC.
So they just, there's on the website, there's like the address that you send it to, and the dentist can just send it to USC. And this is why it's allowed to have, instead of just having 4 letters, you can have an extra letter sent in, and it's still just that one packet, so as us like takes all of it. And this, I think, yeah, so. And I think because it's considered a community letter, you can actually send another letter to add that. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I might be wrong, but.
I think when you kind of submit it, it's gonna ask you, do you want to do individual or community?
A committee, yeah. So you choose the committee letter and you can submit it through USC, but I think because the ADSAS allows 1 committee letter plus 1 letter. So if you really need that many letters, then, but I think like most schools don't want you to be sending that much because they have to read all of it. So try to stay at 4, and then if you need the 5th one, like.
Yeah. You don't want too many because then it gets kind of excessive. I think I
It's
just
kind of
did 4.
repetitive.
That's pretty standard.
Yeah,
Like
same.
2 science, 1 non-science, and a dentist. Or yeah, that's pretty standard.
Yeah, because I feel like it's gonna get repetitive too. So.
Yeah. That's
Okay. Yeah, so this is the 1 committee letter plus the option of 1 individual letter. Okay, so on ASAS, you indicate that you have to write, so the same thing that you would do on the USC website where you like write who's going to submit it. The only difference is if you are doing it through USC on the ASAS application, you do the same thing, but you check the box to indicate that it's a committee letter, and you only put Natalie Zuletta's name, who's the person in charge of the service over there. I have her contact information on here somewhere. And so there's 2 ways that they can do it. So if they want to do it electronically, you put their email address onto the ADSAS website, and then the evaluator is sent an email from ADSAS, so they get a matching form that they will attach, and then the evaluator just emails them the whole thing. So with USC, Natalie would email everyone's letter with that 1 matching form. Or you can do it by paper, which is the same thing. It's just that you would be printing out the matching forms just like you do with the transcript and giving it to Natalie. And she'll mail it out.
Actually, I was emailing Natalie this summer, and she actually recommended that you use the electronic service. She said that it would be a lot
Yeah,
faster,
she told
and
me
you don't
too.
have to pay. I think if you do it by paper, you have to pay like $20 or something for them to mail the whole packet to ADSAS. So they highly recommend that you do it electronic. Like they just started the electronic thing pretty recently, but they highly, highly recommend that you do that. It's faster and it saves you money.
Yeah, and I think ASAS prefers the, or they like, say the
Yeah, it's definitely a lot faster.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it that matching letter that you're talking about again? Is that given through access?
Yeah, so there's, okay, so the one with USC is like the one you're gonna give to your professors. Okay, and then the one from ADSAS, you print out and you're gonna give to the pre-health, with like LR service, yeah, so it's Natalie. And then she's gonna just attach that to all of those letters and send it out.
Any questions?
Yes.
I'm a sophomore now, and if I want to get an asking teacher for a letter for them now, but I want to apply for them for next year, what do I typically do?
I would still go to them, like tell them that you're gonna ask them for a letter of rec, just remind, and then you can ask them next year, right? So like you can email them or like go into their office hour and say, I'm gonna need this letter, like at so and so date, like will you still be able to write it for me?
Or I can say, you can tell them, I've never done this, but maybe like ask them if they'd be willing to write it for you, but save it somewhere, because you know this,
They might forget.
this letter, I guess, but the letter of rec service from USC, they have like an expiration date, is it 1 year?
Yeah, they can't submit it to
Yeah,
USC is.
You have to pay a fee to enter into this USC letter of rec service. It's a very it's not a very big fee, but there's like a 1-year limit or something like that. So they won't hold a letter for you for like 2 years.
But your professor will hold it.
Yeah, if your professor
Or
will
like,
hold it, that'll be good.
If he wants to write it like right away, then.
Or just have them keep you in mind. Yeah, definitely. Any more questions? Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about the USC thing. You said that they have like their own page where all the teachers or whatever sends it to USC. So like even if like dentists or like other people, they would send it to USC.
Right.
And then USC would send it to the whole.
To ASA.
Yeah. Okay, so it's basically just you send it to USC and then.
Yeah, so even if this teacher is not a USC teacher, like they can just be given that address, like on the envelope, instead of putting ASAP's address, you put USC's address. And this makes it quicker too, because for ASAP you'd have to wait until after June 4th. But this you could pretty much give them the envelope like now, and they could send it in. I don't think the LOR service is open yet, like it's going to open in March or so. I don't know. And I think that it doesn't like open yet, so it's like Marchish, they can like submit it into USC.
So you mean we can't get the form as of now to give to our teachers? Like we're gonna ask our
I'm not.
professors pretty soon.
I tried to go on the website this weekend, and the whole pre-health website like wouldn't connect. I don't know if that was like my computer, but I tried like multiple times, so I don't know if it's just.
I don't think you can get the form until it was like open the site.
Right.
Because I remember I tried to get it
Earlier, right? And you can't.
But like you can definitely ask them, and actually a lot of your professors will say, oh well, I won't write it till May anyway. So like you can just get the stuff in.
Like you can still give them like your folder
yeah.
with like a CV, and like if you have a personal statement.
If you walk the pre-health office and ask them for an LOR form, they'll take it out.
Oh, yeah, that's
As many copies as you want, and then once you fill it out, you pay.
Oh yeah, and there's a box on the USC form that says like ADSAS number. You won't have your ADSAS number, so once you on June 4th or whenever you apply and get your ADSAS number, you can just email email USC service or call them and give them the ADSAS number and they'll fill it in for you.
Questions? Alright, so,
Sorry, I have a question. I know